We are joined also on the phone line now by the ANC spokesperson, Mr. Zizi Kodwa. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for joining us here on ANN7. The ANC's response to the announcement that Dr. Makhosi Khoza has now resigned or stepped down from the ANC.
The African National Congress has not received any letter of intention or reasons from Makhosi Khoza to resign from the African National Congress. What we would have expected from any member of the ANC who joined the organization voluntarily, who dedicated selflessly her life to the African National Congress, she would have resigned from the branch. Her branch has not received any letter of resignation. The ANC made her to be what she is. She sent her to Parliament. In Parliament, our caucus of the ANC has not received any letter of resignation. Anywhere else, there is no letter of resignation except the media briefing. And it is quite unfortunate because we are talking about somebody who has become so selfish about her needs in the African National Congress. Her anger in the ANC, she expected to be appointed as a minister because she thought that she's the only one she deserved to be the minister above everybody else. That is why, even generally in the media, Makhosi Khoza has been exaggerated to be somebody who can speak power to truth because other people think that she is more prominent in the ANC than any other party. The ANC has made her to be what she is. If she leaves the African National Congress, unfortunately, she leaves it with a cloud that the African National Congress, she was not brave enough to face the charges, that she was brave enough in the public to talk about the ANC. When we said come and face those charges, she becomes a coward. She leaves the African National Congress, but will comment comprehensively when we meet or we receive her resignation letter. But at the moment, we are unable to comment comprehensively except to say we know her personal ambitions, which have been driving her public spat with the African National Congress because she wanted all along to be the minister, and she thought she was being undermined, and therefore, whatever she decides at the end of the day, the ANC will accept that because the African National Congress will join it voluntarily, we will leave voluntarily. We're not going to beg Makhosi Khoza, who has got uncontrollable ambitions in the African National Congress. They've got million members. Many of them are nothing in the African National Congress. They don't fight every day and attack the African National Congress because they've got personal ambitions. She has become too much of herself. That's why even this resignation is being exaggerated as though the ANC has collapsed. The African National Congress remains strong. She was only prominent in the media as long as she was within the African National Congress. As soon as she leaves the ANC, she will realize that when you're outside the ANC, you are no longer as useful as you are within the African National Congress.
Mr. Kodwa, interesting that you mentioned that the ANC has not, or the branches have not received a resignation letter from her. But earlier during her public announcement, she mentioned that and actually confirmed that she had handed a letter of resignation in this morning.
No, she hasn't. Nobody has received any letter of resignation because even if we receive that letter, it's not like she was asking for anybody to resign because she never asked anybody to join the African National Congress. But the hastily within which that is done, submit a letter, even if that letter has not been, is still on its way, make a public announcement, is within the same approach of her handlers that continue to irritate and damage the African National Congress in public. She thinks she has succeeded to do so. Many have tried before, have fallen face on their faces. Makhosi Khoza, if she thinks that she can destroy the ANC, unfortunately, she must read history is littered with examples of prominent men and women who tried to destroy the ANC. Many of them came back to beg and say we were wrong. Wherever she's going, we know that she has been approached by the Democratic Alliance. Unfortunately, that is her choice. But the African National Congress, we're not an organization of people who've got uncontrollable desire for power.
Mr. Kodwa, could you just elaborate whether or not there was pending disciplinary action against Dr. Makhosi Khoza for her utterances in the past, and what happens now with regards to that sort of disciplinary action?
We're unable to comprehensively respond to that. I'm characterizing who Makhosi Khoza was in the African National Congress and her uncontrollable desire for power and the fact that she wanted to be the minister against everything else. The ANC has made Makhosi Khoza to be what she is today. She thinks about the ANC, and I think her character has been exaggerated. She will fall flat on her face.
Just lastly, Mr. Kodwa, she did mention that she will now be working with various civil rights groups such as Corruption Watch and so forth. The ANC's reaction to that?
There are many others who left the African National Congress who were recruited by enemies of the ANC. She's not the first to be recruited by the enemies of our people. Obviously, she has done so. She has tried to do so within the African National Congress to work as a provocateur, as an agent of provocateur within the ANC. We defeated her. That's why KwaZulu-Natal also charged her, because you can't integrate the ANC from within. We are able to detect and actually to analyze that indeed you work for the enemy within the African National Congress.
All right, spokesperson, thank you very much for your time this afternoon and sharing those details with us. It was ANC National Spokesperson, Mr. Zizi Kodwa.